Making a deal with the devil isn't just a mistake. It's a surrender to the vilest cheat in existence. Forget the modern caricatures, the grinning, red-skinned tempter in a tailored suit, or the suave trickster with a glint in his eye. Those are fantasies. The monks of old knew the truth, etched in trembling ink and whispered in fear. The devil is a stench-filled horror, a monstrous abomination whose presence curdles the soul. Believe me, I know. I was a fool once, desperate enough to bargain with him. And from the moment I saw him, there was no turning back. No redemption, only regret. Things were unraveling. My life, my perfect life, was falling apart. And it was all their fault. My wife, my daughter, they were to blame for my misery. Not me, never me. It started with her, my daughter, my disobedient child. She was only 16 when she ran away, stealing my wallet and her mother's jewelry before vanishing into the night. My wife, ever the enabler, had the audacity to say it served me right, that I didn't understand her. Understand her? What's to understand about a brat who sneaks off after dark, consorts with gutter trash kids, and defies her father's authority? I did what any father would do, what any real man would do. I raised her with discipline. I spared no rod, for sparing it is to spoil the child. That's what my father taught me, and he was always right. When the police brought her back, I gave her a lesson she wouldn't forget. Then, I sent her where she belonged, a private institution for disturbed children. Exclusive, secure, unforgiving. I made sure they understood my expectations. Disciplined her until she was fixed, no matter the cost. They followed my instructions to the letter: straitjackets, cuffs, electric shocks. If they had to break her to make her obedient, so be it. The doctor claims she's gone insane, that she screams endlessly in her padded cell. But I know better. She's faking. Just like her mother, always defying me, always testing my authority. Ah, my wife. She dared to leave me. She climbed out a window like a coward the night I paid for my daughter's corrective treatments. She ran straight to my business partner, that treacherous bastard. The next day, he confronted me, had the gall to suggest that I was losing my mind. Me. I could see through him. He wanted to take her, to undermine me, to destroy everything I had built. But he didn't know who he was dealing with. None of them did. And so I turned to him. To him, the one with the foul breath and unblinking eyes. The one who smiled as if he already knew the outcome. I made my pact. I made my mistake. But by then, I was too far gone to see it. What's left now? The whispers in the dark, the endless regret. The devil's laughter echoes through every corner of my life. He always collects his due, and when he does, it's far more than you ever thought you had to give. Trust me, I know. I knew it. I could see it in every sly look, every fake gesture. My partner was plotting against me, scheming to steal everything I owned: my wife, my fortune, my reputation. The courts wouldn't help. The lawyers were snakes, all blind to the necessity of a man being stern with his own. These are rotten times, decayed to the core, and it's no wonder the world is circling the drain. They had me cornered, legal traps, endless red tape. My funds were frozen, my name dragged through the mud. That night, I paced my house like a caged animal. The shades were drawn tight, no one gets to see me in my fury. Tomorrow they'd close in from every direction. That's when I made my choice. I called to him, to Satan. If anyone could understand betrayal and slander, it was the devil. He'd been maligned as much as I had, painted as the villain by every hypocrite and gospel pounder alive. Surely, he'd see things my way. When you truly mean it, the devil comes. I offered him a sacrifice. I threw the Bible into the fire, watched its pages curl and blacken. Then, I grabbed my wife's cat, that snarling, hateful little creature, and slit its throat on the living room rug. Blood spilled, pooling dark and sticky as I chanted his name. And then he arrived. The air curdled. The stench was unbearable: rot and filth and something older, deeper, like the breath of a tomb. He crawled into view, a slimy, bloated thing, his voice a raspy wheeze that scraped the nerves raw. He belched decay, and his very presence made the walls seem to close in, the shadows to deepen. But I didn't flinch. I don't care about appearances. What mattered was power. I want out of this jam, I told him. I want my wife back under my control, my daughter where she belongs, and my partner burning in hell. He listened, grinning with yellow, broken teeth. He agreed to the first two demands without hesitation. The third, he said, was trickier. Judgment of souls wasn't his to give, not entirely. But he hinted my partner might find his way to the pit regardless. Fine, I said. Make it happen. Of course he wanted my soul in return. That was expected, but I'm no fool. I struck a bargain. You can't have it outright, I said. Not yet. First, I want a new life whole and complete. A chance to start fresh from the very beginning. Then you can have my soul. Anything less isn't fair. He whined. He raged. The foul stink of him grew worse with every protest, but in the end, he agreed. On my deathbed, he promised he'd return to give me the word of my rebirth. We think alike, I told him. Iron hand and a velvet glove, right? And then the reckoning began. That same night, my partner's furnace exploded, turning his house into a blazing inferno. He tried to escape but was drenched in flaming oil, his screams tearing through the night as he burned alive. The firm's ledgers conveniently stored in his home were reduced to ash, wiping out any trace of my financial troubles. But the true masterpiece was the scandal. My wife was caught in his house, hiding in an upstairs room. She jumped from the window, her nightgown torn and her dignity obliterated. The newspapers captured it all, her disgraceful flight, her ruined reputation. No court would take her side now. She came back to me, broken and silent, knowing there was no escape. I never let her forget that night, or those photographs. She's not allowed to leave the house anymore. And whenever I think about what she did, I make sure she remembers who's in charge. I trusted the devil to keep his word, and maybe he did. But trust doesn't come without cost. The stink of him still lingers in the corners of my life, a reminder of the price paid, of the soul owed. My daughter is still rotting in the padded cell where I put her. If she wants to fake insanity, fine, I'll make it unbearable. 10 years she's been there now, stubborn as ever, but I've paid well to break her. The orderlies, the ones with the dead eyes and iron grips, know exactly what to do. Leather mitts, rubber sheets, electric shocks. She stop her little act, or she won't. Either way, she'll pay for defying me. Unfortunately, I won't be here to see her final surrender. My body is giving out, eaten away by cancer. Throat cancer, the doctor said. Poisonous fumes, he guessed. I know better. It started that night with him. The stinking, cheating devil. His foul breath seared my throat, burning it from the inside out. And now it's killing me. I told you he cheats. And now he's back. He came for me again, grinning that rotting grin, his stench filling the room like the reek of 1,000 graves. He reminded me of our deal. I'm to get my second life, from birth to death, just as I demanded. A fresh start, he promised. A full, clean slate. But there's always a catch with him, isn't there? Always, he lied. The bastard can't give me a life that hasn't been lived yet. He has no power over the future. No, his domain is the past. The past. And there's another rule he conveniently forgot to mention. I can't take over the same sex as before. Something about polarity, he said. The balance of the soul. Male to female, female to male, round and complete. Who makes these rules? I don't care. It's just more of his cheating. And here's the cruelest twist. It has to be someone from my own bloodline. My blood. My family. I'm dying. I can feel it now, creeping closer with every shallow breath. Soon, the darkness will close in, and then I'll open my eyes again, not as myself. No, as her. I'll be reborn as my daughter. The thought makes my skin crawl. The padded cell, the leather mitts, the endless shocks, they'll all be mine. Every minute of her miserable existence will be mine to live. Her screams will be my screams. Her suffering, my suffering. I'll endure every humiliating, agonizing moment I inflicted on her, trapped in the life I destroyed. This is his revenge, his final cruel cheat. Hell isn't fire and brimstone. Hell is living the life you've ruined, from the first wailing breath to the last broken gasp. Hell is being reborn as your own daughter, and it's about to begin.